If you are in a place where it is comfortable and appropriate for you to do so, please go ahead and close your eyes and begin to take some slow, long, deep, relaxing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. With every inhale, feel more light and peace entering your body and mind. And with every exhale, feel like you're allowing gravity to just take away from you all tension and anything you do not want. Inhaling peace and light, exhaling just dropping away all tension and anything you do not want. We picture ourselves on top of a beautiful mountain in the center of a circular grove of trees. In the center of our circle, a bonfire blazes forth, lighting us and the grove up with a sacred golden light. We recognize that this is the light of perfect love and perfect trust, and it easily and efficiently burns away everything that is not like itself, leaving us safe, serene, and clear. Into this sacred space, we invite the presence of our Creator. To many of us, our Creator reveals themselves to be a god and goddess, a mother and father. Into the sacred space, we also invite the presence of our guides, our angels, and our teachers. We ask that we be guided along the way as we walk this path, becoming happier, healthier, more peaceful, and more loving people. Thank you very much. And if it's appropriate, out loud, you can join me in saying the words, "Blessed be." Last time we spoke on sphere number 4 and the divine name of El, and that is the sphere of mercy. And today we're going to be speaking about ELOHIM GIBOR on the 5th sphere, which is directly opposite of sphere number 4. Now, sphere number 4 and sphere number 5 oftentimes work in consort, and you see that a lot in the Psalms. That comes up again and again, mercy and strength. And the reason why is when you're looking at the tree, you're looking at a mirror image. But if you were to back into the tree, you can see ELOHIM GIBOR would be on your right hand. So when you hear things like the right arm of God or the strength of God, things like that, it's talking about this sphere number 5. Whereas the mercy of God is sphere number 4. And sphere number 5 is often called severity. But in Hebrew, and especially in the Psalms, and many times in the Bible itself, especially in the King James Version of the Bible, it's translated as strength. So when we hear strength in the Psalms, we are alerted to the fact that we are highlighting sphere number 5 on the Kabbalistic tree of life. You can see that right above this sphere is the sphere of Binah, which we spoke about a couple weeks ago. And the reason why this is so important, like I said earlier, is that sphere 4 and 5 often work in consort. If you can think in terms of sphere number 4 as being justice, like judgment of justice, that would be like the courts. Well, sphere number 5 would be the execution of justice, and they work together. On one side, it's very merciful, and on the other side, it's very severe. Now, the reason why it's so important for us to remember that is above ELOHIM GIBOR is Yehovah Elohim, or Binah. And remember that Binah is in charge of the atonement, and she's very structured. She's very restrictive in that. Only that which God creates is allowed, and anything that's not what God creates, anything that's illusory or anything that's a part of any kind of ego construct, she is tasked with sorting through. And then ELOHIM GIBOR, sphere number 5, is tasked with destroying it, eliminating and destroying everything that is not true, anything that is not like the perfection that infinite intelligence creates. So very frequently when we do things like psalm magic, you can see that the Psalms are going on and on about how terrible God is and how vicious God is. And it's important to understand that from the perspective of the ego mind or errant thought forms or anything which is not real, anything that is illusory, from the point of view of those illusory experiences, it does seem as though God is very vengeful and attacking. because God doesn't put up with anything other than perfection. And that's good for us. That's good news for us, because we don't want anything other than perfection, because that's the seed of problems in our lives. The seed of problems in our lives is when we allow ourselves to be led astray into illusion, delusion, nightmare, dream. That's when we have things like poverty and disease and death and all of the things that make this world very unpleasant, that make this world so tragic and make this world so chaotic and bothersome. ELOHIM GIBOR, the strength of God, is that there is only God's will, and anything that is not like God's will is thusly destroyed. ELOHIM GIBOR, gods are strength, the strength of the gods. It's the carrying out of the judgment of God, which is directly above it, and the justice of God, which is directly to the other side of it on the tree. Now, the angel Samael in our system that we work with in angel magic, in the Pauline arts tradition that I follow, Samael is the intelligence or the angel of this sphere. And Samael oftentimes is translated as meaning the venom of God. The venom of God. And that is the part of God which can kill off. And it's kind of a misnomer, because what happens is people start to get afraid of God, the wrong kind of fear of God. They're afraid that God is out to get them. And God's not out to get us. Infinite intelligence is not out to get us. Infinite intelligence loves us, and it has the venom of God in place for our protection, for our benefit. Because just on a real microcosmic level, imagine if your skin cells never were able to die. You have to allow everything that is worn out to die. You have to allow everything that doesn't serve you, that's not integral to the organism, to be sloughed off, to die, and to move away. And so the idea of destruction in that regards is very constructive, because ELOHIM GIBOR is the strength of God. Now, when we have enemies, when we have conflict, when we have problems in our life, say somebody's being very cruel to us, or maybe somebody's being very unfair to us, or maybe we are being very unfairly treated, our ability to combat that is very limited, because when we try to be the strength of God, when we try to be the warrior, which is what the strength of God represents, when we try to be the warrior, we always get in trouble. We never get it right. But when we take our battles to ELOHIM GIBOR, which is where all the warrior gods of all mythology exist on this sphere number 5, then we're able to have the benefit of having our battles fought on our behalf in a way that's efficient and always work. Angels have a way of fighting battles so that everybody wins. We can't do that. We don't know how to do that. We are not capable of doing such things ourselves. When we battle, we get in trouble. That's just how it works. And that's not to say that we should all, just be passive and put our heads in the sand and hope for the best. But when we are inclined to attack or defend ourselves, what we tend to do is reinforce the illusions of this world. Our need to attack or defend ourselves in this world tend to cause us more problems than they solve. But if we take our need for attack and defense and we give it to ELOHIM GIBOR, we give it to this aspect of the divine, of infinite intelligence, then things are done for us on our behalf in a way that is very efficient. And so all of our battles are then fought with efficiency, and we always are victorious. There is no way to not be victorious, because God's will is that we be happy. God's will is that we be safe. God's will is that our needs be met. God's will is that all perfection is ours. And what is standing in the way of the realization of that perfection is the human tendency towards defensiveness and attack. So even though within the realm of the storyline, the dramas that are playing out in our lives, very often we are in the right. We are justified in our need for attack and vengeance. Our execution of that is almost always going to get us into trouble. But the good news is we don't need to attack. We don't need to defend because it's already built into us. But we have to allow it. We have to give permission. We have to invoke in order to have that be done on our behalf, because angels aren't going to come in and just do it for us. We've talked about that before. Why would an angel come in and do something for you that you didn't ask for, that you didn't give permission for? That would be akin to an attack in and of itself. Angels aren't going to attack you. God's not going to attack you, but it is an attack if something happens without our consent, without our permission, without us asking for it. Again, as always, we have to be the catalyst. We have to make the first move. So a lot of times people will hear these things like, well, Elohim Gibor is going to fight my battles for me and I will be victorious. And they say, well, how come that's not happening? Well, usually it's because you didn't ask for it. Usually it's because you didn't put yourself in a position to where this can be done for you. And then infinite intelligence has to wait patiently for you to say, yes, please help me. Because imagine if you were just sitting at home enjoying a good meal with your family and having a nice day, and an army knocked on your door and said, we know what's best for you. So you're going to have to get out of here and we're going to have to rearrange everything for you because we know what's going to make you happy. So you have to come with us now. That wouldn't feel good. You would automatically resist that. Well, just the same way you would automatically resist that, you would automatically resist it if that were to come from God. Well, it's never going to come from God because God doesn't attack. However, God's will for you is happiness. And also God's will for you is freedom. So your free will to have things be on your own timetable, that's part of it. So if you want to delay, if you want to hang out in problems, you can do that for lifetimes, theoretically. But that doesn't mean that God wills that. So if you're in a position where you feel as though you're defenseless and you are vulnerable and in danger, then it's up to you to call on Elohim Gibor, to call on that Samael, and to say, look, I feel unsafe, I feel I'm being attacked, or whatever it is, and I give you permission and request to save me from this, to fight this battle on my behalf. And then when you do that, and you really do give over all of your will to that experience, then that battle will be fought on your behalf. And it's amazing how things can work out when you give the battle to infinite intelligence. Very often, it'll be the way you would think of it. It's just like, okay, well, they got defeated and they got their just desserts. Yay. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Sometimes it works out in a way where it looks like they didn't get punished at all, but you're safe and everything is good on your end. So it's not up to us to judge whether or not God got it right. What is up to us is to ask that God's will be done in this regard. And it has to do with the need for defense and the need for attack. Elohim Gibor is the place to go. Samael is the place to go. A lot of times people avoid Samael because they think Samael's sort of dangerous, like Samael's going to hurt you or something. Samael's not dangerous. Samael and Elohim Gibor and sphere number 5, they're not the cause of war. They're not the cause of battle. They're not the cause of conflict. They are God's answer to conflict. We are the cause of conflict. We are the cause of war. It's our own defensive response to situations and our own attacking response to situations that causes the need for Elohim Gibor and Samael. It's God's response to the need for war. And if you allow infinite intelligence right of way in this regard, then things work out in ways that you couldn't have ever conjured up on your own. So sometimes the battle is won in ways that you think is going to be the way you would have wanted it, but oftentimes the battle is won in a different way that you could never have come up with on your own. But what will happen is you will be happy. What will happen is that you will be taken care of. What will happen is that your needs will be met, because you are recognizing that your own personal ego response to a situation is the problem, not the solution. And it's important to recognize that defensiveness is a type of attack. When we're defending against something, we are automatically setting it up as being antagonistic to us. Now, that's not something that you should judge yourself for or blame yourself for. It's a very human thing. Everybody is very defensive here in this world. But recognize that it's a type of attack. Anytime you're defensive, it's a type of attack. That's what's meant by the meek shall inherit the earth. Their defensiveness is gone because they give all of their need for defense to ELOHIM GIBOR. And so they don't have to fight their battles anymore. And that's why they're going to take over the earth. That's because they're so strong, because they're not wasting their power doing things like defense and attack, two things that humans were not built for. We weren't built to attack. We weren't built to defend. That's not part of our makeup. That's something that we came up with. But it's also our biggest problem in this world is our need to defend ourselves and our need to attack others. So, as a reminder, ELOHIM GIBOR, sphere number 5, strength, Samael, venom of God, those are there for our benefit, those are there for our protection, and they are an answer to the human need to perpetuate war in any form. In any form. God did not create war, but God is able to respond to it. God did not create attack, but God is able to respond to it. God did not create defensiveness, but God is capable of responding to it. So when we truly give our need to defend and attack to ELOHIM GIBOR, then we are the meek that will inherit the earth. And then we can just claim our inheritance. And what is the inheritance of the meek? Everything. Everything. The mystery of ELOHIM GIBOR is once you have completely surrendered 100% your need to defend and attack to infinite intelligence and given all of that over, all of your power is now restored to you because you're not wasting it. You're not wasting your power on something that you're incapable of doing. So all of a sudden, your power is restored to you, and that's when you become an adept. That's when you become heir to literally everything. Because that's what God wants for us, is everything. When God creates us by extending light. Within light is everything. Everything that we could need. Everything that we could desire. Everything that we could require in this world and beyond has already been given to us. But because we spend the bulk of our energy misusing our minds by attacking and defending, we don't allow ourselves to receive. We don't allow ourselves to have the everything that has been given to us to be released into our experience. And so this is one very important mystery of the Kabbalah and of angelic magic, is that our need to defend and our need to attack has already been taken care of for us. And if we can trust and give that to ELOHIM GIBOR to fight on our behalf, we access our power. We've not accessed our power yet in this world because we've been too busy. Ever since we were born, we've been defending ourselves. Because that's what the world teaches us. The world teaches us that you have to defend yourself. You have to protect yourself. You have to attack. It's the only way here. Dog eat dog. You have to attack first or defend yourself first. Otherwise, you're going to be destroyed. And infinite intelligence is saying, yeah, that's not the case. That's not the case because I'm all powerful. And I've created you. And I created you in a way that you're all powerful and that you are protected and that you are already defended. And if you can give your need for defense and attack over to ELOHIM GIBOR, to Samael, then you can access all that power and you can have everything that you've been saying that you've been wanting this whole life. It's a very challenging experience for most of us because, like I said, in this world, that's the bottom line, is that we defend ourselves. We are defensive constantly. So we don't know what it's like to have our defenses down. We don't know what it's like to feel perfectly safe. We don't know what it's like to know that we are invulnerable. But we are willing to know. And that's what ELOHIM GIBOR is here to teach us and to grant us. So it's nothing to be afraid of. It's something to crave. It's something to surrender to and just allow that severity, allow the strength of God to be your armor, to be your protection, to be your strength, to be your buttress, and that everything that you desire and require can come about effortlessly because you're not wasting your energy and your power any longer on defending yourself and protecting yourself and attacking. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.